Alright, and then finally, mixed methods approaches collects both quantitative and qualitative data, as we stated, develops a rationale for the mixing of the two approaches. So that's very different than both qualitative and quantitative, because to conduct a mixed method approach, you need to be able to justify why using both qualitative and quantitative is the best method for collecting and analyzing data. Integrates the data at different stages of inquiry. Some may start out with quantitative and move to qualitative, or vice versa. They typically present visual pictures of the procedures of the study, so graphs, images, etc., and employs the practices of both qualitative and quantitative research, which is kind of redundant, I suppose. Okay, so criteria for selecting a research design. So when you're considering the research proposal that you are going to propose for your methods for Project 4, you want to consider what your research problem is. What was the issue or concern that you believe needs to be addressed? And does that problem call for explanation or testing of a theory? That would be quantitative, right? So do you want to test a theory of how one might address sleep apnea by using a new approach such as surgery of the mandibular bone for that? Or are you looking to explore or understand a particular problem or issue that has arisen? That would be qualitative. Or if you believe that one approach alone is inadequate for addressing and kind of understanding and fixing your research problem, then you might and should consider a mixed methods approach. Also, you're not going to be doing this, but if you were to in the future, you would want to make sure that you could actually conduct this research. What is your personal experience? Do you have the training necessary for this type of research design? Do you prefer a certain type of research design over another? And what is your time and resources? And finally, who are your audience that will be reading and using this research for communication within the discourse community, and is that considered an appropriate research design? If you are in the medical field and want to use qualitative research, you better really be able to justify why you've done that, and in fact, it would almost be considered no. You would maybe get away with mixed methods, right? Whereas in my field, I would actually very highly have to justify a mixed methods approach, and overwhelmingly nobody would really take me seriously if I decided to do only qualitative research. So you have to consider your audience. And so you also need to know that the research proposal that you're going to be creating introduces the research problem or question. You've been telling us what this research problem is, the questions that you're hoping to answer, but this proposal in a very specific way introduces this research problem in question in a way that makes us think about how this problem in question or questions might be answered. The research problem proposal will use existing literature review on the topic for justification of this research proposal, and you're in luck because you've already written a literature review, correct, on the research problem in question. And it outlines how it proposes to conduct the methodology or procedures for fixing this research problem or question. So you can't just jump right into the method, but rather you need to outline how you decide that you're going to conduct this research and why this approach is most useful. And it explains, the proposal explains how the acquired data will be analyzed or interpreted. For this purpose of this research proposal, unless you're suggesting that you're going to use an existing theory or experiment in order to replicate that experiment and study and expand it, this would be more hypothetical in nature, right? Like, what data would you need to conduct this methodology, and how might you analyze or interpret this? Or, for instance, if you're in education, it's a hypothetical, assignment sequence and plan and what you hope to find from integrating such a assignment sequence into your classroom. It should show the importance and significance of the proposed research. That's going to be your discussion section and your conclusion, right? Where you say, if this proposal and this research design methodology was conducted, here would be the outcomes, here would be the significance to my field, and here's why it would be important for my field at large and for this research problem and questions. And then addresses or anticipates the outcomes to a larger community. That's very much found in the conclusion. It's that bigger so what question that you're attempting to answer for the reader. So you'll want to make sure that you look over the examples of Project 4 and the suggested proposals of those projects that can be found in the Project 4 Blackboard folder. Obviously, you can always set up an appointment to discuss what might be the best proposal and research design approach that you suggest for Project 4 and how you go about that. And that can be in person or face-to-face. And if you have any other additional questions, please don't hesitate to email me and ask them.